didn't, and I started doing my paragraph, and then suddenly when I came back to it, it was like it's not finished, and then I lost my red color pencil. I'll probably
That's
go.
okay. So that's all it was for science today. Pretty quick, just printing off the diagram or drawing your own. For those of you who drew it, how long did it take you to do that? About 5 minutes? So you kind of pause the video occasionally. And then for history, same as yesterday, you've got the video and notes, so all combined into one lesson or assignment. How many of you finished learning about Maryland? What was the main reason people came to Maryland to begin with? Devansh?
It was because they thought they could find things and it would help them, but it actually didn't.
That's right. So they took over for a Native American village that was already there. So that made it quite different than the Virginia colony. Arima, do you want to add on what you learned about Maryland? Why they went over and everything?
They also went over for religious freedom because some people in England were Catholic and Protestant, so it was kind of an area where people didn't have to fight over religion.
That's exactly right. Yeah, at the time, Protestantism was especially was much more popular in that area, and Catholics were a little bit mistreated, and so they went to Maryland to have a place of their own so that they didn't feel oppressed by others. But it ended up not having a lot of Catholics there. So that was the whole reason for it, but it ended up not really being many Catholics. Yes, Darshika?
Miss Gardner, I might be in the car at 12 because my mom had an appointment. So we may be in the car for 12. So can I take class from the car?
Yes, that's fine, sweetie. Okay, and Saisanov, it looks like you already completed the paragraph for today. That's excellent. So in literature, asked you to write a paragraph about how the Wilder family was resourceful. Who would like to share some of the things that they wrote, which maybe included some of the examples I gave about even making something out of watermelon rinds, that green outer part of a watermelon. They don't even let that go to waste. And it really shows that they are caring for the planet, that they don't let anything go to waste. Krish?
I didn't write it, but I have some things they actually used animals for making instead of buying. And then they used they even used the wheat. They took the grains, but they didn't put the other parts in the trash. They gave it to the animals for the animals to eat. And also when is Earth Day?
It's today. Happy Earth Day, everybody.
Happy Earth Day to everyone.
Yeah, so that is one of the reasons why I wanted to have that writing assignment, because that's one of the ways that we can best care for the earth, being resourceful. And the Wilder family do that with their crops, like not letting bad apples go to waste. They make cider out of them or give the apples to animals. And they're also resourceful with their animals. Like when we had that butchering chapter, every single part of the animal they used up. Right? So that was being very resourceful. Well, boys and girls, any questions or comments about your assignments on Bright Thinker for today? Krish?
It's actually kind of less today. Don't we have any well-ordered?
We don't have any well-ordered language today because we're going to be doing a poem. And when we have those lessons, there's not anything for you to do on your own.
And do we have a well-ordered test this Friday?
No, not this Friday. It'll be next week. Okay, boys and girls, let's start on the Pledge of Allegiance and school motto now. Tricia, would you like to lead us?
Yes. And then after that, can I just share my paragraph?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor. I honor the things that are good, true, and beautiful. Respect. I will show respect to others at all times. Service. I will do good things for others without being asked. Excellence. I will strive for excellence in all things. Perseverance. I will fulfill commitments and not give up or act on discouragement. Please join me for a moment of silence.
Okay, boys and girls, well, take out your whiteboard and markers, and as you do so, Drisha, you can share your paragraph.
Yeah, because I obviously have my whiteboard and markers here. So, the Wilder family in Farmer Boy shows respect to the earth by not wasting anything. They use the rinds of watermelon to make jam. They take the leather off of cows to make shoes. They don't let an apple go bad. They use the waste of wheat by giving it to the cows. So we should always learn from the Wilders on how to be kind to the earth.
That's great, Drisha. I love your concluding sentence as well. Can you read that last sentence again?
Wait, the last one?
Mhm.
So we should always learn from the Wilder. Wait, I don't know how to say that.
Wilders?
Wilders on how to be kind to the earth.
I love it.
Yeah.
That was really wonderful, Drisha. Are you proud of yourself?
Like before I started writing it, I thought about some points in my mind, and then I thought about a concluding sentence in my mind. I had a couple of different ones, but this one was the best one, so I added it in.
I love hearing your process too. That's really great. You guys are really developing as more mature writers, and I love to see everything that you do. So I'm excited to read the paragraphs that you uploaded. Okay, if we have time, we'll read a few more later in class. For our phonogram review, let's start off with G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. Morning, Nethra. G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. Excellent. Words that use it as well. Okay, boys and girls, the next one is J, three-letter J, used only after a single vowel, which says a, I. J, three-letter J, used only after a single vowel, which says a, I. Like dodge. Very good. Or bridge. That's a good one, Darshika. And next up, let's do two-letter like writing. Two-letter Very good. Next one is two-letter N, used only at the beginning of a base word. Like knot, tie a knot. Or night. Excellent. And finally, two-letter N, used both at the beginning and end of a base word. Okay. Devansh, could you go through and say each of the phonograms for us?
Okay. G, two-letter G, never used without a vowel.
Always followed by a vowel. Very close.
Always followed by a vowel. J, three-letter J. Two-letter and I don't know how to pronounce the
Beginning
last.
of a, okay, this one is two-letter N, used only at the beginning of a base word. And this one is both at the beginning and end.
Oh, used at the beginning of a base word. And used both the beginning and end of a base word.
Perfect. Could I have Saisanov also go through and say each one of these?
G, two-letter G, always followed by a vowel. J, three-letter J. Always
Used after a single vowel, which says
a, e, a, two-letter G,
two-letter N, used only at the beginning of a base word, and
two-letter E, always
both at the beginning and end of a base word. Okay, thank you, Saisanov. Could I have one more person do all of them? Let's have Nethra do it. Great job, sweetie. With you being new to the school, you are just catching on to the phonogram so well this year.
Good, two-letter G, only followed by a vowel.
Good.
Always followed by a vowel. J, three-letter J.
Used after a single vowel.
Used after a single vowel, which says a, or two-letter
Good.
Two-letter
And these two?
Two-letter only used at the beginning of a sentence.
Beginning of a base word.
Beginning of a base word. Two-letter used both at the beginning and end of a base word.
Let's give Nethra a hand. That was fabulous. Well done, Nethra.
Thank you.
That was great. I want to start doing that more, having you guys go through and making sure that you're saying them too. Because that's one of the issues with virtual is that there's less opportunities for me to hear you say them. Okay, let's start some spelling words now. First one to review is, let me get to it, porcelain. We think to spell porcelain. Porcelain, we think to spell porcelain. Thank you, Ahana. Krish, what kind of paragraph?
For the literature, could we just make our own, or do we have to use your examples?
You don't have to use my examples, but I would like you to use my topic sentence.
Okay.
Okay. Porcelain looks like that. Next up, please write syllable. Syllable. Adarsh, those are very cool, but make sure you're still doing your spelling practice. Did you write syllable? Great job for everyone who remembered the double O. Syllable. Next, please write tortoise. We think to spell tortoise. Tortoise, we think to spell tortoise. It's a cute way to think to spell, I think. Next up, let's do parliament. What do you think to spell? Parlay. Parliament. There are 3 houses in the British Parliament. Parliament. Great job if you remembered the silent I there. Parliament. Yes, Krish?
Isn't A supposed to be silent? We say parliament. We don't say par. Isn't the A supposed to be silent?
We say parliament.
Oh. I thought the A was silent.
So whichever one it is. What's confusing, I guess, is that these are grouped together as one syllable. That's probably what's confusing you. Because we say parliament.
Okay.
Next up, last one is also a government word, Congress. Congress. Please write Congress. Adarsh, can you write Congress? Just like this. And that is all for our review today. Arjun, can you say all 5 of our words?
Porcelain, syllable, tortoise, parliament, and congress.
Good job. Adarsh, can you say all of our 5 words?
Porcelain, syllable, tortoise, parliament, and Congress.
Good job. Darshika, can you say all 5 of our words?
Porcelain, syllable, tortoise, parliament, Congress.
Great job. Let's have one more. Ahana, would you say all 5?
Porcelain, syllable, tortoise, parliament, and Congress.
Well done. Let's erase our boards now and get ready for our new spelling lesson. And guess what? After tomorrow, we will only have 2 more mastery tests for the whole year. So 3, including tomorrow's mastery test, but after that, just 2 more mastery tests for the whole year. And only 1 more book for the whole year. Next week, we're going to finish Farmer Boy. Can you believe it? And we're going to end with Jungle Book as our last book of the year, which is a whole series of short stories, a bunch of short stories, almost all of them set in India. And a lot of them are stories with animals that maybe you're familiar with, maybe you're not familiar with. We're mainly going to be reading the stories of Mowgli, the ones that you would think of like with the movie Jungle Book. That's what we're spending most of our time on. But there's a few other fun stories in here like Rikki Tikki Tavi, about a mongoose and a snake who are in battle. And there's one called Tumai of the elephants.
There's a book on Mowgli.
So most of them are set in India and involve animals as the main characters. Yes, Nethra?
Speaking of books, just yesterday I started the 5th book of Percy Jackson.
Oh, Samhita did recently as well. Rihanna and Ahana, have you read it?
Finished it. It's like the best series. Rick Riordan's best author ever.
Oh, best in the series. Would you hear that? Ahana?
There's another sequel to the Percy Jackson series, and we may be getting it, and I'm excited.
What is that one called?
So it's, I think, a series of 4 books. I don't remember all of them. I know only 2 names, and that's the House of Hades and the Blood of Olympus. That's the only one.
Okay.
I remember another one called The Mark of Athena.
Okay. Yes, Drisha?
2 things. Like, because we're talking about like Percy Jackson, I'm actually reading Percy Jackson, the first book.
Perfect.
Also, for my book report, I'm reading it, and also the other one is like my parents' anniversary is tomorrow.
Oh, happy anniversary to them.
Yeah.
Okay, boys and girls, let's start our new spelling lesson for today. And it sounds like a lot of you are going to have some good reading to do over the summer too. Hopefully, if you have started a series, you might read a lot more of that over the summer when you don't have any schoolwork. I always looked forward to that. I was ready for summertime so that I could spend the whole day reading if I wanted to. Okay, our first word for today is distill. Would you all say distill? Distill. You probably mainly hear of this like distilled water. Distill is a word meaning to boil down, and it can be meant to, like, you could say to distill the ideas down to just like one main idea. But distilled water, if you've heard of that, have you guys heard of distilled water? You know what it is, Ahana?
I have something to say which includes distilled water.
Okay.
So in Texas, they had to distill water in the coronavirus.
Very good. Yeah, so distilled water is water that's been boiled, because boiling water gets rid of any impurities and diseases in the water, or if there was contamination in the place where they drew the water. So it gets rid of contamination and impurities in the water. So boiling it gets it to the clean state, and then they bring it back down to normal temperature. All right, so that's what the distilling process is. So our word is just the base word distill. Can you say it with me? Distill. 2 syllables. Even though it kind of does sound like distill, we mark it as distill. Dis, is basic code. Next syllable, till, ul. 3 sounds. We're going to double the ul at the end, though. Pick up your pencil, please, and write distill. Distill. Is syllable break. Ul. Distill. Rishi, would you like to mark it?
Yes. So I think there's only one marking in this word.
You're right, there's only one.
You just have to double underline the last L.
Correct, that's the only one.
Yeah. And I think it's a verb or an adverb.
It's a verb, correct. Well done. Okay, boys and girls. Moving on to our next one. Our next word is an adjective that I would use to describe each and every one of you. You know what it is, Rihanna?
Children.
Not an adjective. You are children, but any other guesses? Nethra? I'll give you a hint. It's a synonym for smart. Synonym for smart.
Intelligent.
You got it, Nethra. Intelligent. Is that what you were thinking too, Arjun?
Before you coded, I already guessed.
I was thinking intelligent or intelligence. I was also thinking before you said that.
Well done. Yeah, so intelligent is the word, which is an adjective describing someone very smart. And I think you all are some of the most intelligent students I have ever taught. Intelligent. Would you sound it out with me? Intelligent. 4 syllables. And the first syllable, what sounds do you hear? I, 2 sounds. Basic code. Next syllable, t-a-ul. 3 sounds. The ul is there to keep the vowel short. We've got a double L in this word. Next is another ul-i. Basic code, intelli. Last syllable, what do you hear? J-a-n-t. 4 sounds. That's g, j, saying its second sound because it's followed by an E. Please pick up your pencil and write intelligent. And Rashi, would you please turn your camera on? Keep it on the entire class time, sweetie. Yes, Krish?
I mark it when everyone's done.
Yes. Show me your word when you're done, please, boys and girls. In, syllable break, t-a-ul, syllable break, ul-i, syllable break, j-a-n-t, intelligent.
Mark it?
Yes, you may mark it now.
So in is a basic syllable. Tell, we double underline the first L because it's silent, and then the next syllable it's basic code, and then the fourth syllable we put it 2 above the G because it's followed by a E. And it's an adjective.
Well done.
And you already. And also, why can't that's not the only description for us. There's like a lot of descriptions.
Krish, did I say it was the only description?
No, I just told. Because it was kind of hard to guess, but I still guessed it. Before you said a synonym for small.
Okay, Krish. It is not very good to brag, though. Right? You don't want to be a braggart. Right? Show some humility. Let's move on to word number 3. Word number 3 is opportune. What do you all say, opportune? This might be a new word for you, but it sounds similar to another word that you've probably heard. Chichish, what does it sound like? Opportune.
Opportunity.
Correct. How would you describe an opportunity?
A chance, or you could do it.
Yeah, it's like a chance, or it is
Something you could do.
generally, yeah, a good thing that you have the option of doing. There's an opportunity to go to the zoo. You only use it for good things, right? You don't say like, oh, you have the opportunity of cleaning the bathroom today. Nobody really says that. But if there is a good thing that's presented itself to you, like you have the opportunity to go to Mars, I would think that'd be a cool thing. That's a fun opportunity. But if you don't want to do it, I guess that wouldn't be a good word to use. So opportune is when a good thing is presenting itself, like, but it's used as an adjective. It was an opportune day to go to the pool. Meaning, if it is a sunny, warm day and you don't have anything else going on, you could say it's an opportune day to go swimming at the pool today. Opportune. We think to spell this as opportune. Just like opportunity, we think to spell opportunity. Please sound out opportune with me. Opportune. 3 syllables. And the first syllable, what sounds do you hear? The p is there to keep the vowel short. 2 sounds. Next syllable, p, or, 2 sounds. That's just the phonogram or. Next syllable, t, u, n, 3 sounds. That's u, u, saying its second sound, or third sound, I mean, because of a silent final E, job number 1. Pick up your pencil, please, and write opportune. Opportune. Krish?
Like, when I need to tell you something. When I showed my sister this, she said it was bad.
Oh, well, she's a liar.
No,
Don't tell her.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
She's
She's
just
just
a
about
little
3.
kid. Yeah, she's just little. I think it's very good. I think it looks similar to the heart model that we had. Opportune, let's write it. A, p, syllable break, p, or, syllable break, t. U, n, silent final E. Opportune. Brianna, would you mark the word?
You put a double underline under the first P, then you underline or, then you double underline E in job 1, and then you underline N, and then you underline U.
U, u, So we're also going to put a 3 on top of it. That's the nickname for you. We're also going to put a thinking cap on or because it says an sound. Opportune. Now, it's even more clear that we say in the word opportunity. For opportunity, that's the next one we're going to write. It's going to be opportune. Drop the silent final E. T with a I-E at the end. Please write opportunity. This is an adjective, by the way. The next one's going to be a noun. Please write opportunity. Opportunity. Krish?
I have a sentence. This is an opportunity to become intelligent in making the water distill.
Oh. Very interesting sentence. Opportunity. Up, syllable break, p, or syllable break, t, u, n, syllable break, I, syllable break, t, e. Opportunity. Joshika, would you like to mark it?
Okay. In the first syllable, it's nothing. In the second, we put a thinking cap and underline the or. And we put a 3 above the U. And we put a 3 above the Y. And it's a noun.
Excellent job. Okay, that is all for our spelling. Let's write it in cursive. Please write them in cursive. Can you show me your cursive if you're finished? Darshika, Saisanov, are you done with your cursive? Can I see it? What are you looking at on your computer, Saisanov? Just the cursive writing?
Yeah.
Are there any letters that you want me to help you with?
No, I'm just looking carefully.
Okay. I know the O to a P is a little bit of a funny connection, and the O to an R. Great job, Arima. Thank you so much, Tricia and Krish. Great job, Devansh. For a little more cursive practice, once you're done with that, we're going to do a little bit of the poem that is an Earth Day poem for this week that we're not going to do recitations of, just spend some time reading. We are going to start a new poem next week that we will recite, though. It is all about farm life. It's a poem that's really cute. It's called The Happy Farmer. And it's going to tie in perfectly to one of the last 2 chapters we're going to read next week in Farmer Boy. Can you believe we're almost done with Farmer Boy? Oh, it makes me sad. Have you guys enjoyed the book?
I don't want it to end.
Oh, me either. I've loved it. Who wants to share some of their favorite parts so far in the book? Devansh, what's been one of your favorite parts?
Still, my favorite scene of the book was when Mr. Course beat up the big boys.
Still?
And one of my funny parts of Farmer Boy is that Armando eats a lot of donuts on his birthday.
I know. He eats a lot of donuts on his birthday. It cracks me up when he's walking up the stairs with 2 handfuls of donuts. And then he goes and gets more. What has been one of your favorite parts, Rihanna?
One of the funniest ones was when his mom said, "A white creamy underwear."
You liked that part? Was that in the bath scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rashi, what's been one of your favorite parts?
So actually I have 2. So the one is that still the part where Mr. Chorus beats up the big boys. And then the second one is that where we're actually also Armando literally just keeps on eating donuts in his birthday. Like he goes upstairs to the attic, he just gets his dad's donut and then gobbles it up and gets more.
That's right. Adarsh, have you had a favorite time in Farmer Boy that you've read? Let me hear. Can you think of something fun that's at least from recently? I can't hear you. Oh, you're still muted.
So I think when it was like snowing.
Yeah, like early on in the book.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of snow. Remember when it snowed on Independence Day?
Yeah.
4th of July? That was crazy. Nethra, what about you?
I had 3 favorite chapters. The birthday, like in the starting of Farmer Boy. Christmas and the county fair.
So, say them again.
Armando's birthday.
Yeah.
Christmas and the county fair.
Yeah, those were all really good chapters. I liked those too. Okay, boys and girls, I'll hear from a few others, but let's start writing the first stanza of the poem When Earth Becomes an It. This is a great poem for Earth Day today. We should call Earth Mother and show respect for the Earth. We're not going to have unlimited resources, so we need to take care of our Earth. And some of that includes working on new technology to take better care of the planet, and for factories and cars, for example, that are going to be more efficient. So, When Earth Becomes an It is all about taking care of the planet. This one says, when the people call Earth Mother, they take with love and with love give back so that all may live. When the people call Earth It, they use her, consume her strength, then the people die. Let's read the first stanza in cursive. Devansh?
Yeah, you wrote.
We one time already wrote the first stanza.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we did.
No, my 8:30 class didn't, but I forgot if you guys had or not. Have we done the second stanza?
No.
Okay, let's do that one then. When the people call Earth, we're going to capitalize Earth in this one. Throughout this poem, they capitalize Earth because that's like a way of showing respect to Earth. And Earth is treated almost like a person. It's kind of some personification in this poem by calling Earth Mother and using the words like her. Her breast is growing dry are some words from that poem. They use her, consume her strength. Earth doesn't have any strength, but they're acting like she does, or it does. So there's some personification in this poem. When the people call Earth It, they use her. That's the end of that line. Consume her strength. Period. Then the people die. Krish?
Can I tell one of my favorite parts?
Yes, you may.
So my favorite part is when Mr. Chorus got the big boys, and then my sad part is when the Almanzo and Alice and Father and Royal had to work in the cold and the frost, and then the part I don't like is when Frank fought over Almanzo, and then the thing that
just in the last chapter.
Yeah, and the thing I kind of don't like is when Almanzo eats. It keep making me hungry, and I want to eat those things.
I know. I feel the same. Darshika?
I really also like another part of the story is when, when the mother and father gives Almanzo, Alice, and Eliza Jane the house and said to take care of the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they eat a lot of sweets, for lunch, breakfast, night, lunch, breakfast, night.
So much eating in this book. Tricia?
My favorite two chapters are the Christmas chapter, because I liked it when like a little part of it was when he got his present. And then the other part was the same part that Darshika liked when they went out of when mother and father went to Uncle Andrew's, I think.
Mhm.
And then they left Royal, Eliza Jane, Alice, and Almanzo all alone, and they consumed all the sugar.
I know the sugar part of that chapter was especially funny. I agree. Even Royal didn't stop it. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's make ice cream for the 50th time today. Okay, and let's make our 5th cake of the day."
50th cake. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, who's done with the poem now?
Oh,
That
and
stanza of the poem.
the part that I didn't like was when Frank hit his head to Almanzo's nose.
Yeah. You
Like-
mean in the Christmas chapter?
Yeah, Christmas chapter.
Okay, boys and girls. Well, that's all for our handwriting time. We actually have another poem to read, though, because that is what we're going to do for well-ordered language today. We've got, for compound verbs, we're going to be reading a poem from page 176 called I Dug and Dug Amongst the Snow. By the way, were there any questions about your homework from yesterday? Anything you guys were confused about? Krish?
No, I wasn't confused by anything. Could I just read the poem?
Okay, just a moment. Let's see if there's any questions first. Darshika?
Nothing.
Okay. Hopefully you're finding prepositional phrases easily enough. Looks like that's been the main difficult thing. You guys have been pretty good about finding your verbs, but it's still tough for some of you with the prepositional phrases. We've got inside the box, underneath the steps, at the little creature, under the blanket, at them, and that last sentence. Who found all those prepositional phrases on page 173? Good. If you made any mistakes, you can correct it based off of that. I'm not going to go through the whole, all of the sentences, but I wanted to mainly focus on prepositional phrases since that's been what still seems the trickiest for you guys. Shatish?
Well, in this same page, I don't understand like what marking should tunnels be. Underneath the steps, two chipmunks burrow tunnels.
Okay. Chipmunks is your subject. What are chipmunks doing? Burrowing. What do they burrow? Tunnels. Tunnels is a noun. But it can be used as a verb, so I totally get that. But if it was used as a verb, we would say they burrow and tunnel. But instead, it's saying they burrow tunnels. And it's not after a preposition, so what do you think that is?
So an adverb, that was the first thing I thought, but
It's a do. If it's a noun after the predicate verb, it's probably a do, unless it has a preposition in front of it, like under blanket.
Oh, so that means nuts is also a do.
That's right. Store is another PV, and nuts is another do.
Oh,
That's actually the first time we've had two dos.
That's why I was confused. I thought
I get why you're confused by that. Did anybody find the two dos in that sentence? Great job if you did. That is the first time we've had it. You're right.
First, I thought tunnels was an adverb, but I didn't understand a noun. It's a noun, but it's acting like an adverb.
Yeah, if it's a noun, it's got to be either a direct object, or it could be an object of the preposition, like blanket is an object of the preposition.
Yeah.
Or it's a subject. Those are the three ways that a noun can be used right now. Krish?
I thought I didn't have any problem, but I actually had one. It's like I kind of had a hard time, like, after doing the preposition, like, which predicate does it go to? I had a hard time with that.
Okay, let's go over that real quick before we start our poem. What do you think would be the case for sentence A? Theo held the cardboard box and peeked at the little creature. At the little creature, does that go with what he peeked at or how he held it?
He peeked. He didn't held at the little creature.
Good. It's describing just peeked.
Okay.
And Saisanov, what about inside the box? Does inside the box tell where he huddled and slept, or just one of those?
Oh, he huddled and slept because he inside the box. He's sleeping inside and he does both of the things right there.
Yeah, it's for both huddled and slept. Sorry, that's supposed to be over here. What about under the blanket? Rashi?
Under the blanket, under the preposition.
But does that tell us where he slept or huddled or both?
Yes, cause it huddled under the blanket.
Yeah, a tiny rabbit huddled and slept under the blanket. That's both of them. Mm-hmm. Underneath the steps also tells us both. And at them, did the squirrel climb at them or just chatter at them? Chatter, yeah. So that's an example of one that's only for one predicate verb. He didn't climb at them. He chattered at them, though. Okay, let's start on our poem now. Sai, could you read this first part, which is a little background about the poet named Christina Rossetti?
What page?
176.
I dug amongst the snow by Christina Rossetti. I dug in.
Actually, can you read the intro first, telling us about the author?
Christina Rossetti was a 19th century English poet who grew up in London and probably spent her holidays at the beach. Her poem, I Dug Amongst the Snow, contrasts digging in snow with digging in sand. Why do you think she may have written this poem?
So that's what we're trying to figure out. Why do you think she might have written the poem? And this is in our chapter on compound verbs because it's talking about digging and digging. Digging in the sand and digging in the snow. Okay, I will have, who's not really read much? Maybe Nethra, could you read the poem for us?
I dug and dug amongst the snow by Christina Rossetti. I dug and dug amongst the snow and thought the flowers would never grow. I dug and dug amongst the sand and still no green thing takes hand. Melt, O snow, the warm winds blow to thaw the flowers and melt the snow. But all the winds from every land will rear no blossom from the sand. I think I know why she wrote this poem.
Why?
Because she wrote this poem like when it was snowing, and she was waiting and waiting for summer to come. I mean, the warm seasons to come.
Maybe so. Yeah, that's quite possible. Krish, what do you think of this poem?
I think that she could also write it to just tell people that flowers don't grow in winter.
Yeah, so how is it saying that flowers don't? Well, it says that flowers are not going to grow in either one, right?
Yeah, if you dug in the snow, that's winter. There's no flower. If you dug in the sand, there's no green thing would come. And then after the warm winds blow, when the summer months come, then the flowers come.
Well, let's read stanza 2 again. Arjun, would you read that for us?
Wait, what's the rhythm again?
Melt, O snow, the warm winds blow, to thaw the flowers and melt the snow. Kind of like that.
Melt, O snow, the warm winds blow, to thaw the flowers and melt the snow. But all the winds from every land will reel no blossom from the sand.
So Arjun, what is it saying about the snow compared to the sand in that stanza?
Melt. Oh, so it's saying even if you melt the snow, they'll still have no blossom still from the sand. There'll still be no flowers from the sand.
That's right. No matter what, but all the winds from every land will rear no blossom. Rear no blossom means nothing is going to grow in the sand. Can anything change that? Have you ever seen things grow in the sand?
No, nothing. Except littering.
No.
I went to the.
You could see at a beach near sand that different things grow, but not in the sand itself because nothing can grow there. But in the snow, eventually things can change. Things can blow away and you'll actually be able to have it.
Yeah.
So which one do you think the poet likes better? Do you think the poet, once again, remember, grew up in London where probably it was really snowy a lot of times, but then she would spend her holidays at the beach. Do you think she would want to live at the beach all year long?
No, she would
want
something different, right?
What's that?
She would want to try something different. So she would like.
Yeah, I think that she was wanting to show us that eventually snow melts away and you'll have beautiful green flowers and trees. But if you lived at the beach and that was all you saw, you would never see any plants. Yes, Arjun?
I'm adding on, this has nothing to relate to this, but one time when I went to India, this was like 2 years back when COVID wasn't even a thing. So I went to India for summer break. We went to like South India's beach. If you go all the way to the bottom of India, it's called Chennai. There's a beach there. It's so like littered for some reason.
Oh, I see. It looks like a lot of people know which one we're talking about.
I went to that one.
Was it
Since my
littered?
cousins live there. Mom's
I
side.
went to that one with my.
trash. It was trash.
It's like cans of bottles and everything.
That's sad.
They're not being
Yeah, there was
resourceful.
so much trash.
It's like it's saying the opposite of our poem.
When Earth becomes in it.
It's not respecting.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
India's are
Many
really
people-
littered, and then there's so many street dogs. It's so sad.
Yeah.
I bet
Many
you guys are
people-
always grateful when you get back that the streets are clean and you can see grass and things growing everywhere.
Many people at the beach think Earth is an it.
Good point. Guys, that is a wonderful example of what we want to not do. Yeah, thinking of it as an it. Like you can just use as much trash up as you want, throw it down wherever, and kind of think it's not going to affect the world. But it does. Krish?
And also, like, if the trash, if someone puts trash right in front of your eyes, you could just tell them about the thing, or if they don't obey you, you can just clean it up.
So, Krish, next time you see somebody throw some trash, will you recite this poem to them?
Okay. I first have to memorize it first. I think I could.
That's right. You can say that just this part. When the people call Earth it, they use her, consume her strength. Then the people die.
Well, yeah, that makes sense because when you put all those trash, the Earth's energy is going, and I mean the oxygen and all of that are going, and we can't live out of oxygen.
That's
Yep.
right.
So that makes sense. It's
Does
basically like
make sense.
karma.
Dun, dun,
Basically like karma.
dun.
It's karma. Rihanna?
So, theoretically, if you were sleeping, would you have problems breathing if there was trash in the air? Like outside?
Would you have what?
So, if you were sleeping, would you have problems breathing? Have a hard time breathing if there was a lot of trash outside?
Well, we want plants to release oxygen to us, right? And so if there's trash everywhere preventing there from being like plants, then there's going to be less oxygen and it's less healthy to breathe in. So we do need to have plants around us for that reason. And if trash is stopping that from happening, then that's when it actually would be difficult. Okay, boys and girls, orthography time. That was a good conversation. Perfect for Earth Day. And let me know if you do anything with your family today that's really showing appreciation and respect for the Earth. Krish?
Like actually, with my cardboard, there's some cardboard boxes, and with that, I was trying to make something, but I couldn't. I didn't put it in trash. I think I need some help making it out with cardboard. I was trying making a cardboard piggy bank, like ATM or something.
That sounds fun. Yeah, maybe talk to your parents about it.
It's fun and resourceful.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, time for lesson 102. Please write distill for word 1. Word 2 is intelligent. Word 3, opportune. And word 4, opportunity. Okay, who is finished? Yes, Krish?
I thought we say opportunity. Do we say opportunity or opportunity?
You're saying it the same way, I think.
I said opportunity. Wait, with the T and U making that sound, opportunity.
He's saying, is it tunity or tunity?
Ooh,
No, I'm saying, is it tunity or tunity? Opportunity or is it opportunity?
I think he's saying true or two.
It's opportunity. Opportunity. Okay, we're not going to sort any words today, so once you're done, you can just take out your math notebook and we're going to start some math time. And I know yesterday in your math notebook, math homework, it sounded like there were a couple that had formatting a little off. So I apologize for that. Don't worry if those ones you weren't sure what to do, so you just didn't do them. I think the problems that had those mistakes were number 20 and 21. Krish?
That time I didn't know it was it 1824 or 1830s.
Yeah, well, it's just for practice. So I guess if you did it, you could have done it either way. Okay, let's start off by actually doing those ones that were messed up in the Bright Thinker assignment. So I'd like us to do 18/30ths and 12/24ths. I think those were the ones that the formatting was wrong. So let's find simplest form of both of these, 12/24ths and 18/30ths. Okay. Saisanov, could you help with this first one, 12/24ths? We want to think through what are some factors that are in both 12 and 24. And it's best to choose the biggest number possible so that you can just jump right to that. Saisanov, can you help with this one? Number 12/24ths. Saisanov? Saisanov, can you unmute your, there we go.
Sorry, I just didn't know I was on mute. Okay, can I do both of them?
I'll have you just do one.
Okay. So 12/24ths. Okay, so we know that you can equal 4 times both of them. But if you want to simplify it, you'll need to have no, it's not divided by 4. Well, you need a bigger number to simplify it. So then it can be equal to 12.
Yeah, you can divide actually both by 12. Very good. That's going to be the fastest way to do it. If you can ever divide both your numerator and denominator by the numerator, that's going to be the fastest because then you're going to have a numerator of 1.
Then the numerator is 1, and then the denominator is 2, so 1/2 is the answer.
Very good. Now, you could have gotten there eventually if you kept dividing by 2, or as I was doing here, I thought you were going to do 3/6. And then 3/6 also can end up being converted to 1/2. Do any of you feel like you can mentally do these just by saying, oh, I know the denominator is twice as big, so that means this is 1/2. Excellent. If you're at that point, that's great. If not, it's okay. Eventually, I think you will get to that point of just being able to see a fraction and think, oh, I know that the denominator is twice as big, so that makes this fraction equal to 1/2. If that's ever the case, that it's exactly twice as big, then that makes it equal to 1/2, like 3/6 or 6/12. The denominator is twice as big. Okay, let's do this next one, 18/30ths. Who can find the simplest form for me? Oh my goodness, Darshika, you're about to have a fit, sweetie. You've got to calm down because not everybody can get called each time. Okay, sweetie? I'm going to have Shatij actually do this one since he hasn't helped out with anything yet today.
Well, the answer is 3/5.
Excellent. Can you tell us how you solved it?
I solved this by 6 6 divided by 18 and 6 divided by 30.
Perfect. Divide them both by 6, and you get 3/5. Those are the greatest common factors.
Yeah.
Divide by 6.
But the longer way is to keep on dividing by 2.
Very good. You could, for tomorrow's test, if you want to just keep dividing by 2, that's going to get you pretty far, but it's not going to get you all the way. For example, with this one, you could have divided by 2 a lot, but then when you're left with 3/6, if you stop there, that's not the simplest form. So you need to know 3/6 can be simpler as 1/2. With this one, if we keep dividing by 2, we'd get 9/15. But then that can be even smaller because 3 can go into both of those, right? Size enough?
Yeah, and for the 12/24 one, you can also divide by 2, which will give you what do you say? It'll give you 6 12ths, and then it can be divided into it can also it can also be going to 12 or 1/2, right?
Yeah, so 6/12 you could do, and then eventually get to 1/2, as long as you get to the simplest form. Okay, now today we're going to be finishing up our math review, going over the last of the types of questions that you'll see on tomorrow's test. And that's mainly going to be bar models for today that we're going to focus on, okay? Let me present over to the screen with our chapter review. And let's do number 27, okay? I will have you do this in your math notebooks. So you can go ahead and write a header at the top of your page. This is math, chapter 14 review. So we'll be answering a few of these bar model problems or finding the fraction of a number, those kind of problems, which also I want you to use bar models to solve for. Your homework for today is going to be more of these types of questions too, okay? Could I have a volunteer read the first story problem here, which is number 27? Number 27. Okay, Darshika, you can read it for us.
Vanessa has 18 cookies. She eats 3 of them. What fraction of cookie is left? Draw a bar model to represent the fraction of cookies left.
Okay, well done. So tell me that story problem in your own words, please, Darshika.
So Vanessa has 18 cookies, and then she eats 3 of them, and they're asking what's the fraction of the cookies are left.
Okay, what are we looking for? Let's write an answer sentence. Darshika, what are we looking for?
We are looking like Vanessa has dash cookies left.
Good, but we're looking for a fraction.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to change the wording just a little bit to Vanessa has blank of the cookies left. Because what if it's like 1/2 of the cookies left or 2/3 of the cookies left?
Mm-hmm.
So remember that we are wanting a fraction for our answer, okay? Some of these you'll want a fraction for your answer, and others they're going to look for a whole number. But in this problem, they're looking for a fraction. With all of these fraction bar models, by the way, it's going to be a part whole bar model. We're not going to do any comparison. Now, Arima, do we know the total number of cookies?
Yeah.
What's the total number of cookies? Sorry, that was super crooked.
18.
Good. Did you have something else to share?
Huh?
Or ask?
No, I was just like gonna do the problem. I was like gonna ask.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Yes. So Arima, 18 is the total. We put the total at the top. Where do you think the 3 goes? She ate 3 of them. Adarsh, by the way, this is not in your workbook. This is just in your notebook that we're writing this. Okay.
It goes at the bottom.
Good. And what I'm going to do is just make one group equal to 3, because it's not saying that she had 3 groups of cookies. She ate 3 cookies. 3 out of 18 cookies. Now, how are we going to figure out the fraction that's left, Arima?
You just have to subtract 3 from 18, which is 15. So she has 15 out of 18 cookies left.
So 15 out of 18 cookies left. That's right.
Or
so,
15 18ths.
Or 15 18ths. We use 18 as the denominator since that's our total. Now, as an extra challenge, that is a correct answer, but we can reduce it to simplest form. Who can do that for me? What's the simplest form of 15 18ths? Nethra?
5/6.
Good. How did you solve that?
Well,
what is the factor, the greatest common factor between these?
I solved it in 3 table. 3 5s are 15
Good.
and 3 6s are 16.
Good.
Well, I've been doing this in Kumon for a long, long time.
So you're pretty fast at it.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, she solved it using the 3 table. She knows 15 and 18 are both on the 3 table. So if we divide it down, 5/6 is our simplest form. And can we make that any smaller? Nope. There's no other common factor between these two. So 5/6, 15 18ths is a good answer. 5/6 is an even better answer though, because it's the simplest form. So let's write that up in our answer sentence. I'm sorry, this pencil is not working well for me, and neither is the document camera. 5/6 is what we're writing as an answer though. Can you all see my page? Okay, good. Now let's skip over number 28 because you are going to do something basically identical to that for homework. And we're going to do number 29 because this is a different style of problem altogether. Devansh, could you read story problem 29?
Okay. Andrea is decorating a paper quilt. She colors 2/5 of the squares red. She colors 1/5 of the squares blue. The rest of the squares are gold. What fraction of the quilt is gold? Draw a bar model to represent the fraction that will be gold.
Good job, Devansh. Now, are we looking for an answer as a fraction or a whole number?
a fraction because
Yeah.
it says draw a bar model to represent the fraction that will be gold.
Very good. Saisanov, can you think of an answer sentence?
Okay. Blank is blank.
That's right. Blank of the.
Blank of the paper quilt is gold.
Good. And I'm going to shorten it just to quilt is gold. Now, do we know the total number of squares? We actually don't. All we know are fractions. The information we've been given so far is just 2 fractions. Tricia, what information do we have?
We have the information that she colors 2/5 of the square red, and then 1/5 of the square blue.
So how many parts are in this bar model?
Wait. So there's 2 parts.
Can you go down?
Okay.
So Dricia, we know there's 2/5 and 1/5. How many parts of this fraction are there going to be?
3.
There's actually going to be 5.
Oh.
Because of that denominator 5. The denominator tells you the total number of groups always. Okay? So since the denominator is 5, that tells us the total number of groups is 5.
So there will be 5.
2 of them are red. We don't know how many squares that is. We just know it's 2/5 of the whole fraction of the whole quilt. So let's just put an R for red.
Okay.
Okay. How many are blue?
1/5. So we have to put 1/5. One of the 5 ones B, I think.
Good. And this is what we're looking for. This is the amount of gold.
So
and you probably don't even have to do any calculation. You can just figure it out.
Yeah, it's
how many is gold?
2/5.
2/5. That's right. Is that already in simplest form, or do we need to reduce it?
I think that's already in simplest form.
It is, yeah. Because we can't, the highest factor for 2 is 2, and you can't divide 5 by that.
Yeah.
So 2/5 of the quilt is gold. Who got that as their answer? For those of you who worked ahead. Good. That's all they're looking for here. They just want a fraction. We didn't work with any whole numbers. It was all fractions. Now, if you wanted to write out what was happening there, we could do 2/5 plus 1/5 equals 3/5. And then subtract 3/5 from 5/5. But we don't really need to do that. That makes it more complicated.
Yeah, I'd rather just look
They
at
can
the
just
one.
see from the picture, right?
Yeah. And I also had another question, Miss Gardner.
Yes.
So at the test, it's like, you know, the Vanessa problem that we just did?
Mm-hmm.
That one, like, if they give that kind of things, do we have to put the actual answer, or do we have to put the simplest form of it?
For some of these, there will be the option of you can choose whichever one, and both of them would be correct. If there is a question about that, it asks what is the simplest form, there's only going to be one correct answer.
So you have to put it in the simplest form of it.
Yes.
Okay.
So, but I think, but for the math test, most of it is not going to be fill in the blank, because whenever it's fill in the blank, it seems like there's always issues.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to have as little of the test as possible with that fill in the blank. Okay, let's move on to number 30. You're welcome. Thanks for asking. That's a good question. Yeah, I would count 15/18 and 5/6 as correct, but almost always in math, we want to get down to simplest form. Okay, for this one, let's review how to find the fraction of a number. And we are going to use a bar model again for this. And actually, we don't even need that review anymore. It'll just be this page. Okay, so find 1/4 of 24. And we are going to create a bar model to help us with this. Now, if I wanted to ask, how much is 1/4 of the number 24? Adarsh, in this bar model, what's the total number? 1/4 of 24.
What do you mean?
What's going to go on the top of our bar model in this problem?
24?
Good. And we want to find 1/4 of this number. So how many groups will there be in this bar model?
4?
Good. The denominator always tells you the total number of groups. And we want to know what one of those groups is, just one. Sai, how do you think we're going to do that? We want to find one of the 4 groups of 24.
I think we have to divide
Good. What are we going to divide by?
24 and 1/4.
We're going to divide 24 by 4, just the denominator.
And
What
that
is 24 divided by 4? That should be one that you've memorized.
6?
Correct, 6. So boys and girls, whenever you see a problem like this, find 1/4 of 24, you can just divide the number by the denominator. That's a shortcut. Divide the number by the denominator. That only works when it's a numerator of 1, though. Okay? So that's the shortcut. Divide our number by the denominator if your numerator is 1. But let's take a look at what happens if we have a numerator of something other than 1. Here's another problem. Find 3/5 of 40. Find 3/5 of 40. Ahana, could you tell me what our bar model will look like for this problem? Okay, I'll get to her for the second half of it. Arjun, can you tell me what my bar model would look like for this problem? Using the one before it as an example.
So we'd use 5 groups. 5 groups of parts.
Good. There are 5 groups. Oops, I made 6. Sorry.
And 3 parts of it is yeah.
Good. And what's our total?
40.
Excellent. So we want to know what 3 parts of 40 are.
So
what do we need to do first, though?
Wait, what do you say again?
So we want to know what 3 groups of 40 are, or 3 parts of 40. What do we need to figure out first?
how much each part is?
Correct. Well done. We want to figure out what one part is equal to. Okay, Ahana, could you finish this up for us? As Arjun just said, this is what our bar model is going to look like. A total of 40 divided into 5 groups. Now, before we can figure out what 3 groups equal, we're going to try to figure out what 1 group equals. How would we do that? How do we do it? 1 part of 40.
I need to write my bar model first because I got kicked out or something.
Okay. We want to figure out what 1/5 of 40 is first.
Miss Gunma, can I leave?
Can you leave? Oh, that's right. Yes, go ahead, sweetie. You're not going to miss anything else. You can just head out. Bye. See you tomorrow. Okay, Ahana, are you ready to tell how to find what one of these equals?
Mm-hmm. So what's the question?
We want to figure out what 1/5 of 40 is before we can figure out what 3 equal. How do we figure out what one of these groups is equal to? Okay. Shatish, you can help us.
Okay, okay, so to do this, you do 5 divided by 40, which equals 8. So one group equals 8.
Correct. Thank you, Shatish. 40 divided into 5 groups equals 8. One group is equal to 8. Now, Arima, once we know that one group equals 8, how do we know what 3 groups equals?
We can find out how much three groups equals by multiplying 8 by 3, which is 24. So 3/5 of 40 is 24.
Great job. 3/5 of 40 is 24. Since 1/5 is 8 and 3/5 is 24. Okay, Ahana, whenever we have 40 like this, our total divided into fractional parts, we're going to divide by how many total parts there are, and we found that it's 8 because 40 divided by 5 is 8. Or you could just think of it as dividing by the denominator. And then we had to multiply by 3 since we're trying to figure out what 3 of the 5 parts are. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, you're going to do some problems kind of like this for homework. And you'll also have at least one story problem. And then I think you have some simplifying fractions problems, a little bit more of those. Okay, I think once you finish all of those, you should be really prepared for the test tomorrow. But if you still don't feel prepared, wait to take the test until after class tomorrow because we'll do a little more review tomorrow during our class time. Okay? Any questions? Who's feeling really ready for the fraction test after we did some review yesterday, finding equivalent fractions, comparing fractions, putting them in order, and vocabulary, talking about vocabulary. And today, bar models and finding the fraction of a whole number. So who's feeling ready for the test, which is tomorrow? Okay. By the way, I had some questions about this in my 8:30 class. The next unit that we're going to do for math is actually not going to be graphs yet. We will get to graphs, but we're still not doing it yet. We're going to get to time and temperature in our next unit. So that'll feel like a breeze. I think it'll be really easy compared to what we've done with fractions. And specifically spend some time on elapsed time, like working backwards in time. You had some problems, I think, kind of like that on probably the ACT Aspire test. Okay, Nethra, last comment, and then we'll start on some reading groups.
In my old school, I really struggled with this thing. There's this thing called Dreambox that we used to do. And it said
Aren't you familiar with it? So we're just saying, Chris.
Off, and you had to do the make out the time with the second clock and the hour clock.
You don't like it?
No.
Okay. Well, boys and girls, have a wonderful rest of your day. It's almost Friday. I will see you guys tomorrow, except for my reading group. Everyone in my reading group for Thursday.
Good morning.
Bye.
Good morning.
Oh,
Good morning, Miss Garner.
Let's start it.
Bye. Good morning, Miss Garner.
Hola.
Good morning, Miss Garner.
Hola.
Good
Good
night.
morning.
Good night. Miss Gardner.
Yes.
There's this new thing on Google Meet. There's like 3 shapes on there. And it says whiteboarding.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, I see it.
I don't have it.
Okay, bye.
I think that's what's new for the recording.
Oh,
Bye.
bye.